You started before I even said hello, hello. Hi, hello everyone. It's Rita from Miss Rita to the Rescue. And we are here for Cricut Chat this morning. And I wanted to say hello. And this morning, well, gee, what is it? Wednesday. It's the day before, it's New Year's Eve. So we are going to be doing something that I love to do, which is make calendars. I am a calendar fiend. Hello, Lori. Hi, Guadalupe. Hello. Hi, David. Good morning. Hi, Penny. How are you? So ever since I was a kid, and this is the truth, I have loved calendars. I like desk calendars and the wall calendars and day timers is what we used to call it. I love to, I remember one Christmas, I think I was maybe 10, and my folks got me my own desk. And I'm sorry about Teddy Bear. He found interesting toy. Hey, can we put that away? It's really loud. Hi, Lori Joe. Hi, Emmy. So I was maybe 10, I guess. 9 or 10, and I got my very own desk, which for a girl back in the 70s was kind of an odd request, but I was an odd kid anyway. And my parents gave me for Christmas as well one of those books. Back at the time, they just had they were like an actual book bound, and it had a calendar inside, and that started my love of calendars. And since then, I have a calendar practically in every room, and I try to keep track of things. Life goes by so fast, right? So one of the things that I really like about Cricut, the pups are very happy today. They found a really fun toy. Sorry about that. So one of the things that I really like about Cricut is every year they come up with a new calendar. And last year's calendar was really fabulous. It was like a bunch of layers that you could even do print and cut with. Office supplies. That was me, Rosalind. Office supplies, like things like push pins and paper clips and just all kinds of different types of pencils and pens and stickers, Anyway, so every year they come up with a calendar, and this year, no different. They came up with this really cute calendar that is sort of reminiscent of the index cards from the Cricut Joy. So in this calendar, there is no glue. So if you don't like glue, this is a fun project for you. And they come in at a regular size 8.5 by 11, which you could certainly use. Sure, I can talk about that. They come in by 8.5 by 11. Yesterday, when I started working on this, I decided to size them at about 5 inches. So it's 5 by 7. And then when I was thinking about it, I thought, wouldn't this look really adorable on the Joy? And there are some size limitations for the Joy. So I want to talk about that. When you're cutting paper, the maximum you can go is 4.25 inches, either the width or the height. Only one of the sizes cannot exceed 4.25 inches. And yes, I agree. This is a great little thing for a desk. I like the smaller size, so I'm just going to hold up. They come in much bigger than that, but this is the smaller, and this is the even smaller, as my son would say. size. So this cuts beautifully on the Joy. This is such a fun project, and you could sit and do it with your littles, and it would be just an incredible project to do, especially if you got a new Joy and you're just doing the cards right now, because it seems like that's the only thing. Yeah, isn't it great? That's the only thing you feel comfortable with. The Joy can do so much more than the cards, and you'll find that out as you start playing with it. And I had somebody yesterday say, boy, I feel dumb. She was learning her new Joy, and I said, don't feel dumb. There's a learning curve for everything, and this is no different. There is a learning curve for the Joy, although I have to say it's smaller. It's a smaller learning curve than with the larger machines. But in the end, they both use Design Space, and Design Space takes some getting used to. Yeah, save the date. That's right, Wendy. So these are really fun to make, and I'm going to talk about how to make them and how to size them a little bit. I'm going to be using my iPad today, but before I get into talk about the iPad, I want to talk about the paper, because a lot of people, that's like the second question I get, is what do you do about paper for the Joy? Well, I have, first of all, there are two sizes of paper. Boy, that dog with that squeaky it's really distracting. I'm sorry. So there are two sizes of paper. There's an 8.5 by 11, which like the size copy paper. That's a standard size. But in scrapbooking or paper working things, there's also a 12 by 12 inch size, and a lot of paper pads when you buy them come in this size, 12 by 12, and a lot of the scrapbook paper as well. So you can use this 12 by 12 paper and the 8.5 by 11, but you do have to cut it down. Okay. And so I want to show you what I do to cut it down. I use something called a personal trimmer. Now this one here is by Cricut. Sorry about all this movement here, but this one here is by Cricut, but you do not need to get the Cricut brand, although I do like this one. I know. I don't know who it is. I think it might be Teddy Bear. He's not usually a toy player, but he loves a good squeak. Okay, so a 12 by 12 sheet of paper can be cut to fit on a Joy mat. Now remember, Joy requires a mat, and this is one of the mats that are available. There's a 12-inch mat, and there's also a 6-inch mat. I generally use the 12-inch mat because I use this 12 by 12 paper, and so I can often get two of something on one mat. So when you're using paper, you just need to trim it up to fit on those mats, and the good rule of thumb is that these mats are actually across. They're about 4.5 inches. You see that? But your cutting is it's limited to 4.25. That's because there's a little edge around all mats, and that's the same for the larger mats as well. You did, Dorothy. Wonderful. Okay, so here's what you have to do is you just have to put your paper in, and it works from the right to the left. And right here, this is a retractable ruler, is you're going to slip your paper in underneath this guide, and then decide where you want to cut it. In this case, I'm going to cut it at 4.5. And what that means is for a 12 by 12 inch sheet of paper, I am going to get two strips, two very long strips, and then this piece will keep for whatever, for a future project, and you'll end up, I guess that's why they call it scrapping, but you'll find you'll keep a lot of little scraps, and this will come in handy in another time. So So this is what we do with paper. The same can be done with 8.5 by 11 inch paper. Remember, it's you can cut it in half. Half of 8.5 is 4 1/4, which is actually the amount of size that you can fit on this paper, on this mat. Okay, so that's what you do for paper. And where can you find paper? What do I recommend for paper? I will tell you that Cricut has very nice paper that is cardstock 12 by 12. They also have the best glitter cardstock. I'm not sure if it's in stock because they got kind of cleaned out for Christmas, but they have some really great cardstock. The other place that I get cardstock from is Michael's, because they sell 8.5 by 11 and 12 by 12 under their own brand name. It's called Recollections, and it's usually very economical. So 8.5 by 11 inch, they sell in a pack of 50, usually in a couple of different colors, or sometimes in a solid like black, white, craft, those like a regular, very popular color. They'll sell 50 in a pack, and they're under $6, and they're often on sale. So keep your eyes out on Michael's and also on the Cricut website for cardstock. That's what it's called, cardstock, solid. Often when people say cardstock, they mean the solid kind. And then there's also scrapbook paper, which depending on the thickness can be either paper or text weight, or often is the same weight as cardstock, which is about between 50 and 60 pound weight. So you'll hear a lot of people say, what's the weight on that? Most cardstock is about 60 pound weight. So it's nice. It's kind of thick. It's not as thin as regular paper, and it cuts beautifully in a Joy or any other Cricut. Okay, so moving along, that's about paper, and that's how you cut it. And we're going to be using these mats to put our cuts on. So let us go to Cricut Design Space, and I'm actually going to start all over. So when you come into Design Space, when you open up Design Space, usually this is what you would see. Hold on. I just want to put all categories. So when you open up Design Space on the iPad, this is what you would see. And these are all projects that are offered for you as a Joy user. And I should mention that there are some people who have other machines. And so if you want to use this as a Joy user, because we want to cut on the Joy, when you go to the canvas, where is it? Here. Okay, when you go to your little avatar, you'll see machine selection. And so I have all three of these machines. So I'm designing for the Joy today, and there is a difference. So you need to choose Joy. Okay, so when you start at home, you're just going to hit this plus sign with the circle around it to start a new project. It's going to bring you into this canvas, all right? And it's kind of blank and a little bit ominous, so don't worry about that. So we can easily fill it up. So here we go. What we want to do is we want to look for an image, and we do that by going down here to where it says image and this little plus sign. And so we're just going to click on that, and you'll see it brings up this sort of index. Okay, now what you can do is you can search right here on the search bar, and it will search all the images. The problem that people have with this kind of a search is that sometimes it's a little overwhelming. Like if you typed in something that was like, I don't know, child or baby or dog or whatever, you might get an awful lot of images. And even putting in something like Happy New Year might give you a lot of things, because it will search on happy and then new and then year. So you might get overwhelmed here. So what I tend to do is I use different parts of the search engine. For example, I often will go to the highlighted categories, and right here, there's featured, recently added, free this week, and image sets. These are 4 areas that I like to go to on a regular basis because, especially like things like recently added will be all like sort of new things and new images. That's really fun to browse images like that. And free this week, if you're not already a Cricut Access member, the Design Space is free to use, but there is an image subscription service called Access that you might get when you're a new person. You know, you got a new machine, you might get a couple weeks worth of free access, but then after that it runs out. So what Access is this little A will indicate that it's part of the subscription service. So in this case, there's our 2021 calendars that we can use. But if you don't, after your subscription would run out, it's possible you might have to pay for these, okay? So just point out that Design Space is always free. It's the images that you might have to pay for individually, or you can buy a subscription where you can use over 170,000 images, and there's 500 fonts and all of that too. So, okay. So, under images, we're going to just search 2021. I'm just going to type in 2021 because there are very few things that will come up. So here are some of them, and these are our calendars. So we're just going to pull in a couple of the calendars. Let's pull in February, and we'll do January just so you can see it. But there's all individual. You'd have to, if you want to do the entire grouping, you have to pull them all in, which is fine. You could do that like this. You just click on them, and there you go. They all have a green box around them, and you'll see them on the bottom bar, and you hit insert. So there are all of our images that come in. Now, these all come in individually as images, but they do get grouped together, and they come in at a certain size, which, as I mentioned, is 8.5 by 11. How do I know that? Okay, so let me just get real close to the January one. Now, I have this selected, okay? So I am going to go to down here where it says Edit. And this will bring up this bar on the bottom, okay? And this bar will show you the width and the height of this image that's selected, okay? Only that image that's selected. But I will point out that this image is 2 layers, okay? It's the blue on the top, the part that gets written on, and it's the other blue on the back that becomes the insert card, okay? So, as a group, and these are grouped to be these 2 layers as a group, it comes in at 8.5 by 11 inches. Well, 8.5 by 11 inches is a great size, but it won't cut on the Joy. So we need to size it down to cut on the Joy, and we can do that either by taking these 2 arrows and sort of just moving it like this, make it bigger, smaller, or we can go down here and choose the width that we want, and you only need to do one of the 2 sizes, because right now you see this little tiny lock. That means that when you actually change the width of something, the height will change proportionately, okay? So in this case, we want to cut this on the Joy. So our maximum that we can cut, remember, is one size is 4.25. So what I'm going to do is I am going to change the smaller of the 2 sizes to be 4.25. Now you'll see that our image got smaller, and then look here, my height automatically changed to 5.5. If you want something to stay proportionate, do not unlock this lock, okay? You need to keep that locked, but if you are not concerned about proportions, and there are reasons that you would not be concerned about proportions, then you could unlock it, and then you can freely change just one of the proportions, okay? So this is now, able to be cut on the Joy. I'm just going to move it just a little bit. Able to be cut on the Joy, and it's going to be, even though I'm making it bigger on my screen, it's still going to be cut. Whoops, it should be going to be cut. Let me do that again. Usually, if you're just going to do this point and, or whatever you call this, like pinch, I think this is called pinching. It doesn't change the width or the height here. So there it is. And we can go ahead and cut from there, but also be cognizant of the fact that, you know, I did bring in all of these. So if you wanted to cut them all at once, then you would need to change the size all at once. Now, personally, I think for a new person, it would be a little overwhelming to cut the entire 12 months together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my layers panel right here, and I am going to sort of hide the rest of them. So I'm going to hide them by clicking on. So I want to hide December. All right. So I'm going to just click on this little eyeball. You see that eyeball? Click on that little eyeball, and then all of a sudden December disappears, but it's not gone from my area, from my canvas. It's just hidden. So same thing here. I'm going to just go and click on all of these and hide them. And I'll just leave February and January on the canvas, because then you can kind of see what we're doing. So February needs to be resized because it came in at 8.5. So let's resize it to 4.25, and you'll see, there we go. So let me just hide my layers tab so I can just look at my canvas and pinch so you can see. So now I have 2 images, and each image has 2 layers. One of the layers is just a cut layer, and the top layer is a write layer. So we're going to be using pens with this, and I want to point out that Cricut Joy has a lot of great pens, but you need to use the Joy pens for it. So if you are today not working on the Joy, you can use the regular pens, but if you are working on the Joy pens, you have to look for the stamp that says Cricut Joy. Couple of things about the pens is that sometimes you'll see these pens, Cricut Joy, of course, but it's also called infusible ink. Infusible ink is a different method. It's for applying a pen-written design onto a shirt or onto something, you know, a bag or a baby onesie or something like that. And these infusible ink pens are full color on the barrel to just sort of make them look different from the other ones. So we don't want to use infusible ink pens. We can do that another time, okay? And so the other thing to keep aware of is that there are markers and there are pens. And then there are also different size pens or markers. So here is the smallest size. It's 0.4 millimeters, and this is a fine point pen. You'll see the same one here. But they also go all the way up to 1.0. This is a gel pen, and this one's actually a glitter gel pen. So when you choose what you're going to put into your machine, just keep an eye on here. This is a marker, and it does a different marking. You know what a marker looks like, but I'll just show you. So this is what a marker looks like, right? And this is how it would write. But that's much different than, say, a gel pen, right? And then just to go smaller to the fine point pen, you see the difference there? So that's fine point. This is a 0.8 glitter, and this is a marker. So that's just all that you kind of need to know about pens, is that they will list what size they are and what kind of pen they are. And these are Cricut Joy because they fit into the Joy. Okay. So let's go ahead and cut our January and February. If we have time, we can do both. And we're going to cut them. So here we are. We have them on our iPad. Now I have connected my iPad to my Joy, and I do that in case you are concerned or you get a message that says select accessory. You're going to go to your settings and you're going to choose Bluetooth. Okay. So when you choose Bluetooth, you're going to look at your devices. You might not have as many devices, but I have a lot of Bluetooth devices, and I'm going to look down here and find the one that says Joy, and I am going to click on it, and then it will show connected. This will allow me to use the iPad with my Joy, which is over here. Okay. So here we are back again, and all I'm going to do is hit make it. Whoop, my project is incompatible. Well, what happens when that happens? There are some times when images come in that are drawn that will cause a problem with cutting or drawing. So we need to examine that. Now look here. Let's go to this one. This one also came in. Usually you get these little caution signs with an exclamation in there. Now it will show you, in this case, this one here, the caution is on the draw, but sometimes you get it and it's because the size is not compatible, or what you're trying to do, such as if you wanted to use, say, a foil transfer kit, you cannot use that on the Joy, and so you might get this if this was marked as foil. But in this particular case, I know that the problem is with draw. Okay, and so what I need to do is to do a little bit of investigating. And I'm going to look at this image. Let me just move this out of the way. I'm going to look at the draw here of this image. Now, when I do that, when I click on that layer, see down here, it says draw with a question mark. That's simply because you need to indicate for some reason, and it happens. It's not all the time that it happened, but you need to indicate a pen and associate it with this. So I hit line type where it says draw with the question mark. I was brought up to this, and then I can choose. It doesn't really matter what you choose, but for some reason, the drawn is not associated with that. Whoops. Let me just go back. Draw. And we're going to choose that and apply. And you see that it now has resolved that triangle with the exclamation point, with a warning sign. Same thing with other ones. So let's go back and look at these. And we said, I think it was the February one that we had a problem with. So let's go and look. Yes, it says line type cut is a question mark. Now let's go to draw. It says draw line type. Let's just make sure that that resolves it. That's a cut. Yes. What about this one? This is January. So this is the draw one. Draw with a question mark. Let's just change it up a little bit and hit apply. And now it's resolved. Okay. So again, going to make it, and I'm hoping, yay, now I can cut it out. So whenever you're going to cut on the Joy, you need to know, are you going to be cutting this without a mat? If you are going to be using smart materials are cut without a mat. But on the mat, materials are things like paper or regular vinyl that's not labeled smart, okay? So you'll see boxes. I don't have any with me right this second, but it will say on the box smart vinyl or smart iron-on. Those are the only ones that can be used without a mat. Yes, there are ways to trick the system, which you can certainly try, but if you're a newbie, just stick with this because it's helpful this way. So we're cutting paper today, so we're going to choose on mat. And what it brings up is it's going to bring up each of the mats, and they're separated by color. So here is my February, the top part that has the drawing, and we can move that around a little bit. And there's the back of February. That's just the blank cut. There's the back of my January, and there's my January cut and draw part. So these look good to me. I don't need to make any changes here, and we're keeping it simple, and we're just going to hit continue. There's a lot of stuff that you can do in those preview screens, but we don't have to talk about them because it will just confuse you. So just stay tuned for more, more information as we go through these things. Okay, so when you're on this part, this is the cutting part. This is where you're going to choose a material. So you can go to all materials and choose from any of these compatible materials. And there's vinyl, there's iron-on, there's paper. And in this case, I'm choosing a medium cardstock. Remember I told you that the cardstock ranges in weight 50 to 60 pounds. That's what we're going to choose. And by the way, you can also favorite any of these. You see that star on there? If, for instance, you like to cut out glitter cardstock, you can star it, and then it will appear every time you get to this screen. Okay, but in this case, we're going to choose medium cardstock, and that's what it says right here. Medium cardstock. My pressure is default, and you want to keep it that way. And I'm going to also check remember material settings. So for this cut project, I'm going to always be using a medium cardstock. That's what that means. Now I need to, because this is going to be the January one, I need to load my pen in, and then I need to load my mat in. Okay. So I've prepared, I'm just going to move this so you can see the Joy. So I've prepared, see the Joy's blinking, it's getting ready to cut. And I've prepared a couple of mats here. Let me see, I thought I had another blue one. Yeah, so let's cut the January and we'll cut it on, this is the one that we'll cut with the pen writing, and this is the one we'll do in the back, and that's going to replicate this. Okay, so these are the two mats, and I have them ready, and they're, they have about 6 inches worth of paper on them. So I'm going to open my Joy. I have it connected. It's blinking. It's ready to do the writing and then the cutting. Writing always comes first, and so we need to take out the blade and replace it. Okay, and we do that simply by opening that clamp and taking out the blade. There's your blade. There's your housing. Super easy. Put it aside. It will roll around a little bit, and then decide which of your pens you're going to use. I think I'll try this glitter gel pen because I think it would be fun on January to indicate a little bit of, you know, frozen nature. Okay, so I'm going to put it in like this. Now, this is different from the other machines. The other machines have 2 clamps except for the Explorer one. And so when you're doing something with the other machine, you would put this in your left-hand clamp or clamp B. The Joy only has 1 clamp, and so all you need to do is pop it in there and close the clamp. No pushing down, no worrying about the clamp itself. Just pop it in and close the clamp. And then we're going to add our paper, right? This is the one? Yeah. So we put in the mat. It goes underneath these little guides, and the machine just makes sure that you have put in the mat and it has enough material in there. And all we have to do is hit go. So once we hit go, it will start preparing, and then it will start writing the January. It will do the snowflakes, and then it will come and do the 2021 and also all the numbers, the snowflakes at the bottom. It doesn't do the cutting just yet. When the writing is done, then we have to switch out the pen for this again, our housing, so that you can cut it. Okay, so that is slightly different. If you have a different machine, that's something different about the Joy. Okay, so we're going ahead and just going to let it go. And while I do that, I'm going to show you the rest of the calendar as I cut it out. And the great thing about a Cricut is that you can choose whatever color you want. And so I think they had in October, they had like purple, and I didn't like purple, so I changed it up to standard colors. But look at this. This is March. You could do gold paper in here if you wanted to. April to me has always been, you know, very sort of new and sort of purpley, so that's what I chose there. And then May, look at and then June, I think those colors represent well. And look, July, August, I thought that was a unique color choice. September, and there's the October one I told you about. So you can choose whatever colors you want. And this is all that you need to do is once you finish cutting out the top layer and the bottom layer. So here's the top layer. You're going to flip it over, and then in these little slits, you're going to tuck the bottom piece and tuck the top pieces. Try not to rip these little tucks because that's it. No glue, nothing, right? So there you go. That's how much fun, but you can change up the colors to whatever you have or whatever you want it to be. That's just the fun of working with a Cricut. So believe it or not, our January is almost done. And I can tell that by just looking at it. But look, it also gives you a progress wheel here. And so it's telling me that it's just finishing up the writing of the numbers. Now, one thing I want to point out to you is that sometimes when your Cricut is writing, it will move around the image. So sometimes it will do the top of the image and then move down to the bottom, or whatever the case may be. And that's okay. That's sort of the way that the design and the machines are made. And so that your images won't actually run or smear. Okay? And so that is something that a lot of new people will look at that and say, why is it doing it out of order. I mean, we think like a human and we're going to write January, but the machine thinks like a machine, and so it's going to just do it in the way that it's been told to do. Okay, so it's done writing. So here we get a little pop-up window on the iPad. It says I need to change my tool. I have to load my fine point blade into the clamp. So I'm going to open the clamp here, take out my pen and cap it off. So that's important. And then I just take my blade. And by the way, if you have the Joy and you need to change the blade, you would just press this little pump thing. There you go. And it comes out, but you just kind of keep it in there, okay? And then we just pop it back in and close that clamp. And we're going to hit go. And now it's going to do the cutting. And remember, what it's going to cut out here is going to cut out these slits. And it's going to cut out the word or the name of the month, January, and then the letters for the days of the week. Okay? I hear some of my friends talking about the foil transfer kit. Really? You're having a frustrating time? Because I really love the foil transfer kit. I think I'm going to need to do, in fact, I have a card that I want to do. It's one of those lovely layered cards from Anna Griffin, and I was going to use foil on the front and on the inside to show people that haven't done anything with foil in a long time. So I thought that I would show how to do that. Okay, so believe it or not, it's done. My January is done. All I need to do is unload it, okay? And here it is. Now I'm going to just peel off the edges, and then I'm just going to peel off that. Now you might have some little pieces that don't come out. That's easy enough to fix. You can get something like a little pokey thing like this. Is called a weeding tool, and I tend to like poke through and pick it off from the back because I don't want any little rips. This happens. Don't have to worry about it. Doesn't mean that your machine is broken. It's just part of cutting paper. And here we go. Now there will come a time when you do have to change the blade, and then you'll start to see this happen more and more and more, and so you'll need a new blade. So do keep that in mind, that if it starts to rip or not cutting all of your project, then that might be time to change the blade. And you do need to change the blade in these machines. It's quite a small blade doing some pretty amazing things. So there is our January. You see we have those 4 little pieces. Let's cut the part that needs to be on the back. Now, I just need to make sure that I am going to be cutting the correct one. I don't want to cut February. I want to cut... It's not letting me cut it. So I might have to hit unload and cancel. Okay, unload. Yeah, there we go. All right, so there's January, the back. So we're all ready, set to go. Now I can put it in. And remember, I had it saved, my material setting, so I don't have to choose that. All I have to do is hit go. And then it will cut the back of the January calendar. This is why I mentioned I would only do 1 or 2 months at a time. It can get a little confusing, okay? Especially if you're new and you're doing a big project like this, then doing it 1 month at a time is just easier for someone, for me even. When I cut out these ones here, I only did it like 3 months at a time. And I've been working with the Cricut for years. So there you go. I'm just putting this in the back through these little tabs. No glue. Flatten it out a little bit. And there it is. Isn't that great? I don't know if you can see the glitter, but I can. It's kind of cool. I can see the glitter. Anyway, so this is how you do the calendars they're free. And by the way, if you don't have a Joy and you have a Maker or an Explorer, then you can certainly make these cards on those machines. I just like to make sure I tell everybody how it is to work on all the different machines. I like to switch it up so that everybody can see their own particular machine in action. Tomorrow I'm going to be back. As I mentioned, we're going to be doing a card with the foil transfer kit. So we're going to be doing an Anna Griffin card with that. And then let's see, tomorrow is Thursday. So tomorrow is New Year's Eve day. So we'll be back here at 9 o'clock. For New Year's Eve, we're going to have a special session at 7 o'clock, but it's going to be on Zoom, and we are going to have some prizes there. And so we're going to do that. I'm going to get the information out to you. And if you want to be part of the program, you would just need to download the Zoom app or access it through your home computer. I'm new to this, so this is an opportunity for you to get onto the screen. And we also remember it's going to be sort of people, if they've never done Zoom before, I've done Zoom before, but if you're nervous, you don't want your face on the video, remember, it's just a small group of people, but also you can you can turn off your video, you can turn off your audio, and it will be just a fun little get together to try it out. And that's simply it. And I will be back on Friday at 9 o'clock. So that's New Year's Day. And we are going to make a perpetual calendar, and that involves an SVG from a site. And you do have to purchase this SVG. It's about $3. I haven't been able to find a project like it in Design Space. So I really want to show you how to do these perpetual calendars. Really fun because they're little blocks and you just turn the blocks to indicate what month. Really fun to play with. Okay. So yes, tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, Zoom, and I am going to post on my page all about the Zoom as much as I know. And remember, it's going to be a trial by fire kind of thing. Don't feel like I've never done it before, so I'm not going to do it. It'll be fun. We probably won't be doing a project, just sort of a pop in and say hello and sort of Happy New Year, and maybe people can show what they've been doing. I get all kinds of emails with people, like, for instance, Aledra sent me this really cute wreath she made, a picture, and people are always sending me pictures of the things that they do. Loretta, Lori. So, I just thought it would be kind of a fun thing. So if you plan on attending, it's really simple. Excuse me. It's just a matter of, logging in to the Zoom call. And you do have to have a computer that has a webcam, but most computers do have that, and you can also do it on your phone or your iPad. Okay, so that's just kind of a little extra freebie from me, so that we can kind of just get together and chit chat. So bring things that you want to show everybody, like maybe a project that you did or something you're having a problem with, and we'll have a little bit of fun, and we'll ring in the new year. I don't suspect that we'll be on any more than an hour, but we'll ring in the new year early. Okay. So I'm not going to, this information will be on my Facebook page. Thanks for pointing that out. Okay, Diana? It's going to be on my Facebook page. I don't know how to link Zoom with YouTube. I wish I did, but I don't know how to do that yet. So I figured we'll just do the Zoom call, and I can probably record it and put it somewhere if we decide we want to do that, or we'll just have this fun little way of testing out Zoom for everybody that wants to learn how to Zoom and to say hello and Happy New Year to everybody in our group. So that is it. So today is Wednesday, tomorrow is Thursday, which is New Year's Eve day. I'll be back at 9 o'clock, and we're going to be doing a Nana Griffin card with the foil transfer. So if you got that and you're having problems, then definitely tune in tomorrow. And then tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, we'll be doing Zoom. I'll post the link on my Facebook page. If you can't make it, that's fine. And then we'll see you again on Friday morning to do a perpetual calendar. That's going to be at Facebook at 9 o'clock. Okay, everyone? I hope that that's enough information, and we will see you soon. We'll see you tomorrow, and look for that information on my Facebook page. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you again tomorrow. Happy crafting. Bye.